I've been alive. I've been live for 1 second, 5 seconds, 7 seconds. I've been alive. I've been live. Playing with my coffee cup. As we start the Infinite Creativity SABSANG for today. With 𝗏𝗵𝗏, it says on the tin. Creative exploration, transformational coaching, self-inquiry. Now with added irreverence. So you can take from that what you will. If it means nothing to that, nothing to you, so be it. If you think that's amazing, great. If it actually ends up having any resemblance to that at all, it'll probably be a miracle. And yeah, so here we are. It's that beautiful moment where I have no idea what is going to happen in the next hour or two. I suppose I'll ramble. I'll show you some of my latest creative stuff, which, to be honest, this week is just pictures and words. And I would love to see some of yours. So if you want to share anything, give me a way of seeing some of your creative stuff. That'd be amazing. And of course, if you have questions or comments about creativity, productivity, even more deep and meaningful stuff like the life, the universe and everything, I can do that. I can talk about it. I don't think I can give you answers, but I can definitely talk about it. And I have been talking about it for many, many years. So, so this is it. Basically, it's a place where you can chill out. For me, it's a Sunday evening. And it's my little chilling out place on a Sunday evening where I just come and I talk about my creative stuff and I talk about your creative stuff, and sometimes we have some nice conversations. So that's it. There's no stress, you know. I've just got my coffee. I've got my scarf. I decided not to turn the heating on, although it's moving into December, because I didn't need to, and I've got a scarf, and I thought I would, you know, respect the planet a little bit more, I guess. I don't know if I know what I'm talking about. 𝗏𝗏𝗏, hi 𝗏𝗏𝗏. Nice to have you here. So yeah, my battery is weak. Yeah, I'm going to plug my computer in. That could be a good idea. Just talk amongst yourself. Yeah, so here we go. Electricity is a wonderful thing, isn't it? I guess that'd be spectacular if the computer just stopped. It does sometimes, but it's best if it doesn't happen in the middle of a Zoom call. I mean a live thing. There we are. So you see how prepared I am? I've actually prepared very little for today. No, I'm exaggerating. I've prepared nothing. Nothing is prepared. So it's just me and you and a dog named Boo, and we'll see what happens. So say hello if you are here. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 already has. Good for 𝗏𝗏𝗏. And let me know what you're pleased about with this week in terms of creative stuff. What have you created this week? What have you done? And if you show me yours, I'll show you mine. How about that? I'm afraid me and Lady Eiffel don't have anything spectacular to show you today, apart from my latest photographs, my daily photographs and stuff. But I can certainly talk about creative stuff with you. I've got some new books. I've got a thing called Mindful Thoughts for Stargazers. Find Your Inner Universe, no less. Another one came through in the series called Mindful Thoughts for Fathers, A Journey of Loving Kindness. I'm a father, so that's for me. Am I loving and kind with my children? Answers on a postcard. Possibly not as much as I would like to be, which might be why I bought it. I got an amazing creative thing. I think it was this week. I don't think I showed this to you last week, did I? I was supposed to, wanted to hide the address. This is amazing. It's Nina from near New York who does these incredible things. She gets loads of stuff, like ripped from newspapers and magazines and things, and then, hello 𝗏𝗏𝗏. Hello, nice to have you here. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 says, I like your photo with the kid. Oh, we can look at that in a second, yeah. And she sticks all this sort of stuff on here, even a bit of music, a bit of wrapping paper it looks like, and goodness knows what, and sticks your name on it and sends it off if you're lucky, and sees, first of all you see if it gets there, and if it does get there, you kind of admire it just for what it is, a moment of someone's life. Because what is creativity? Creativity is often kind of, you think, what the hell's that? You know, why? Or my kid could do better than that. But that's not really what creativity is about. Creativity is about bringing something into being that wasn't in being before. That's the kind of thrill you get from creating. So look what she's created. Isn't that cool? And of course, it didn't stop with her. I'm guessing, but if it's the same as for me, it wouldn't really have any meaning until it had been sent off and the person who it was destined for received it. I'm guessing that Nina is a bit like me. I've talked to her, so I'm guessing a reasonable percentage that it's true, that it's half done once it's sent off, and it's 100% done when it reaches the person it was intended for. That's how I like to look at things. 𝗔𝗓𝗏 says, "Tu es un peu malade avec la rhume? Question mark. Atu? No, I'm not. I could take this off actually. It's just that it could be a little bit chilly. It's a bit cold. Il fait un peu froid ici à Paris, donc j'avais pas encore enlevé l'écharpe, mais je peux. That's all I'm taking off. So yeah, say hello again. So say where you are. That'd be nice. Where exactly are you? Are you the country you're in? Dans quel pays tu es? Dans quelle pièce tu es? Qu'est-ce que tu as fait aujourd'hui? What have you done today that you're pleased with? Something creative that you've done today. Yeah, I'm okay, 𝗔𝗓𝗏. She's saying, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm fine. So so I've got this, and then I've also got this one, which is very interesting. It's Mindful Thoughts for Artists, Finding Flow and Creating Calm, which is interesting. I think it's about visual artists, literally people who paint, but artists can be used in a very wide way. I called today's show, kind of random title, something about mindfulness for creativity. I can't even remember what I called it now. Let's have a look, shall we? I called it Mindful Creativity Special. I'm going to give it this kind of random name every week. So today is Mindful Creativity Special. I've got a book that says mindfulness for every day. That says mindfulness on it. This says mindful thoughts for artists, mindful thoughts for fathers, and mindful thoughts for stargazers. So today is the mindful show. It might just be me wondering what mindfulness is and how it applies to creativity. And we'll see how it goes. Otherwise, I'm going to do the usual stuff. Let me show you some pictures. This is my latest... let me start with new ones. Let me start with these. So again, let me know where you are in the world and in your house, if you're in a house, and something creative you are pleased with from this week, please. And if you have a question about creativity or anything that comes up, please ask me. If you're watching on the replay, hello, welcome, and feel free to interact as well, and I can answer your questions afterwards. So I've got these last 5, I think are new from last week, because I've only done 2 more, and they're here. So these are my 2 latest. I'm not filling it in this order today, I'm just doing it kind of randomly. And these 5, I'm surprised that this one is still to be talked about as though it were new today. I feel like I've been talking about this forever now. But maybe it's just because I've talked about it in lots of other places. And I said, for this particular photograph, I said, I'm not going to say anything about it. So I show you the photograph, there it is. I show you the words that go with it. There they are. To what extent do you think you should explain your art? There's a question for you. Oh, hang on. 𝗧𝗔𝗘𝗧𝗍 says, I'm going to decorate my room, so if I choose a new colour. Ah, okay, decorate your room. Do you have a colour in mind? What colour do you have in mind for your room? Quelle couleur, 𝗧𝗪𝗧? Tu choisirais quelle couleur pour décorer ta chambre? Et peut-être pourquoi? Pourquoi cette couleur? Which colour would you choose, and maybe why? What does that colour represent for you? I've got a mind map from a long time ago about colours. I'm just wondering if I could show it to you. Really, quite an amazing mind map, which was all about different colours. I'll see if I can find it. I mean, I do love colours. To be honest, when we look around, isn't colour what makes us be able to see anything at all, or possibly even exist? If we couldn't distinguish any colours, well, you could say we'd be blind, but you could still exist. But wow, can you imagine? No colour. Do we imagine that dogs see in black and white? Whatever that means? I don't know. So Karen says, just arrived. Hi everyone. Hello Karen, nice to have you here. Wondering about your weekly portrait, if you've got one to show us. And you're probably going to say, just put it in the group. Plomo avec blanc. So blanc is white, and plomo, I have no idea. Could it be plum coloured? Plomo, I don't know what that is. Can you give me an example of something that is plomo? Could be plum coloured, I guess. Lead and white. Lead, I don't know what you mean by lead though. Because lead, what colour is lead? Is it like a kind of a grey? Interesting. So there is my, I'll read it to you just for the sake of it, to prove that I'm just going to give you the words and not any explanation. When she comes, I'll turn a blind eye, I'll gaze to the sky, feigning indifference, chronically shy. What took you so long? I've danced to your song, waiting in vain, I've tried to be strong. Alone in the cold, I've loved and grown old, for a maiden like you, so fair and so bold. Feel the heat of my heart, hear it flutter and start. You've left it too late, it's falling apart. Now you shimmer in light, feathers seagull white, willing me to fly on a dark Sen night. Shall I soar with the leaves, flitting like thieves, or float on the ocean as the river grieves when she comes? So my question for you is, should you explain your art? If you paint something, should you explain what it means, or should you just let the painting be? Share it, but not explain it. And poems are a little bit even more dubious, really, because it's words. How do we explain things normally? We explain things in words. So if your art is words, if it's a poem, it's almost like you're betraying the poem. It's like the poem was not enough if you actually explain it in other ways, in other words. But then again, if it would help people to understand the meaning more, then maybe it does help to say something about it apart from just the words. That's the thing that I think in my mind. I would often like people to know more about the painting or the photograph or the text than they can just see. But if I describe it in some way or give you some background information, it's about a friend of mine or something like that, does that not restrict the imagination of the person who is looking at it? It's not allowing them to create their own individual story. And for me, creativity is half done when it leaves me, and the other half is done when it arrives at someone else. So I'm not sure about that. So I decided for this one not to say a single word about it except the words that are written and the image that is there. Will be what it is. And then I had a few more here. This one, I'm really fond of this, just taken at a local train station. So I'm not going to really explain it. You can see what it is. And I imagined all sorts of things. It looks like they're kind of in a couple of boxes. So I did a little text about them being in boxes and stuff. I'll read this one, but I don't think I'll read the others. The freedom of the sky is as illusory as the safety of the fence. You can fly in it or sit on it, and reality will remain the same. We're eternal prisoners of the very mind that's creating these imaginary kingdoms. We can attempt to soar above or leap over, but the grim truth is we can never surpass the man-made limits of our own perceptions. Cats will be cats, and they ain't soaring no place no time soon. Birds may be birds, but they too will feel Earth's inexorable pull on one final flight one day. And if miserly-minded, mealy-mouthed man still has one thing going for him, maybe it's that he can let his thoughts wander, imagining weightless wings or pouncing paws in the heady realm of dreams. That may be the only boundless kingdom we have left as our self-made cages close in. That it may be enough. And all of that came from this. So isn't it worth creating one thing and seeing what happens? To create the photograph, I had to have my camera with me. I had to take it out of my pocket. I had to imagine the photograph a little bit before, and then I had to have the ability to capture it. Because, you know, birds fly away, cats get scared, and those bars, they weren't, you know, it wasn't like I just came out of the train station and this photograph was in front of me. It had to be constructed in my mind and then in reality. And a bit of luck. The luck that the cat didn't move, the bird didn't move. All sorts of things came together for this image to be able to exist, including the app that I used afterwards to play with it. It all had to come together. But I guess I was the hub. I don't claim that my creativity is original. I think I am some sort of vector. And yet, if I wasn't there, this photograph wouldn't exist. I think that's pretty sure, pretty clear. It's pretty random that this photograph exists, but it's a bit like us, isn't it? It's kind of random that we are who we are. So it's a bit random that this photograph actually exists and that you are looking at it now. Because it could have been another photograph, or if I just I'd looked the other way and spotted something else, this photograph could easily never have existed and we wouldn't be having this conversation. Another photograph might have come into being and another set of circumstances might have come together. But the whole point of this is, at least I think it's good that this exists. It's my personal opinion. And for that to happen, I had to be in some sort of frame of mind for that to happen. Whatever it might have been, had my camera with me, had the idea that there could be an interesting photo somewhere. All of those things had to be happening. So, as I believe that being creative on a regular basis is one of the most wonderful ways to feel that you're leading an interesting life, a good life, fun life, I cultivate that. I try to make it part of me. And that's a result. Lead is graphite. Well, graphite is still a thing, not a colour. But so graphite is basically a kind of darkish grey, isn't it? So grey and white. Interesting. My mother's son has just I should have taken photographs, has just redone her entire underneath. Sorry, there's another word for it. I think it's ground floor of her house. And I thought, when I heard about the scheme, I thought, oh, okay, grey, shades of grey, and I think that was about it. And I thought, okay, it's going to be a bit sombre, isn't it? But it turns out to be quite stylish, actually. So that would be nice to see some photographs of that, 𝗪𝗔𝗍. Do you have a specific time slot to do your creative things? A question! Thank you, 𝗏𝗏. I've got a few people watching. Give me questions about creativity, please, people. This is the Infinite Creativity SABSANG. That means I want you to ask me questions about creativity and I want to blah blah about it and see if it's helpful. So, I'll just acknowledge a couple of people who have come on. Got Thomas, Hello and a kind hello to all. Hello, Thomas. Nice to have you here. Your voice is some kind of low, Sab. I hope it isn't the microphone that's playing up, but well, I hope that isn't a bad thing. Yeah, maybe I've got a bit of a frog in my throat. I don't know. Anyway, this is me tonight. So I've had a comment on my voice now from two people. Do we have a sweater comment from a pullover comment from anyone in Greece, for example? No. We'll see if that comes in. I'm kind of a bit disappointed, but anyway. Maybe my internet connection. I don't know. My voice is what it is. I missed a great photo today as I didn't have my camera. It was loading. Yeah, I think in my masterclass I say that the only bad photographs are those you don't take. Let me just take a sip. Just think about that. And it doesn't have to be a photograph, it could be anything creative. The only bad photograph is the one you don't take. Or the only failed photograph is the one you don't get. It's a bit like saying, the flip side of that, it's a little bit like saying, if you're not in the game, you can't win. If you're not playing, you can't win. But winning doesn't have to be like, I'm number one, I cross the line first and all the others are losers. Winning can be feeling satisfied with what you've done. And if you're not trying to do something, then you can't win in the terms of you can't produce anything. If you're not taking photographs, you won't get photographs. So, don't worry about this idea of winning in terms of like, I'm the winner, you're the loser. No, it's not that. It's winning in terms of having brought something new into existence which didn't exist before. That for me is winning. So losing would be not bringing anything new into existence today. That would be losing for me. I don't really like the terms. They're not really relevant for me. But if I do use them, that's what I mean. Success is you tried. You tried and something happened. So yeah, Dorothy, well, I missed a great photo today as I didn't have my camera. Now you see, that means you are in photo mode. If you weren't in creative, looking for photographic opportunities, looking to create new things, if you weren't in that mode, you wouldn't notice that a photograph wasn't created. It sounds funny, doesn't it? To notice something that doesn't exist. I noticed this doesn't exist. It would be like me saying, you know what? I noticed that 20 fantastic new photographs of an area of Paris I haven't visited for ages were not produced today because I didn't go to Paris. I noticed that. And am I going to be unhappy about that? That would be a little bit silly. But imagine I'd had a trip planned and it was cancelled at the last minute to go to this new part of Paris. And I wanted to come home with 20 great new, completely unexpected original shots for my daily photos. Then it's almost a thing. The absence of these 20 new photographs is almost a thing. I mean, I just imagined that they would exist in my mind. And then I didn't do what was necessary for them to exist. So I can't really say that the absence of the creation of those photographs is a thing. It's not really a thing, is it? And yet there's something there. There's something there. So to be in the mode, to be in the looking for creative stuff, you notice the absence of something. It could be a feeling of disappointment if you didn't get a great shot, what you think of as a great shot. So that's it, Dorothy. That means you're in the game. You're looking for creative stuff. You are a creative person. Congratulations. I'm going to come back to your question, 𝗏𝗏. Just wanted to say hello. When do you feel creative? Great question. Thanks. Thanks, Thomas. Thanks. It's so nice to have a positive sweater comment that, it doesn't refer to the last time I wore it, how many days, or even if it was just a day ago. Just a nice, neutral, friendly, I like your sweater. Isn't that nice? Germans, you see, Germans. a nation that begins with G that doesn't, have sort of hidden meanings when they give sweater comments. That's nice. That's nice, Thomas. I appreciate that. Oh, look, someone else from a country beginning with G. I'm assuming you washed that sweater before you wear it. You wore it tonight, unless you wanted to trick me with with the scarf. I was trying to hide it with the scarf, and then 𝗪𝗧𝗓 said, "Are you sick?" I said, "No, look." And, oh, the sweater. It's the same one. I've worn it twice already this week. It's not easy being me, I can tell you. I saw a bird eat or drink from one of my flowers. I haven't seen it before. Ah, drink from a flower. That's beautiful. And is that the shot that you didn't get? I love your sweater too. That's why I keep an eye on it. So the question we had, keep questions. Please give me questions about creativity. I want two things from you tonight. One is anything that you're pleased with having created in the last week. Tell me what it is. If possible, if it's easy for me to go to look at it on the internet, let me do that and I will. And the second thing is questions or comments about creativity and anything I show you. Okay, let's get into that big time. All right, so 𝗏𝗫𝗓 says, do you have a specific time slot you do your creative things? Do you do it when your mind is most alert? There's a lot of people with a lot of theories about this. There's all these planning systems, for example, one approach is that most people have a specific time of the day or period of the day when they feel most creative. Do it then. That sounds a bit obvious, but that's a common one. They say some people are night owls. They get really creative late at night, so do it late at night. Other people feel better in the morning, so do it in the morning or maybe the afternoon. So that's kind of random, isn't it? It's kind of like saying do it when you feel like doing it. Another very common thing that you hear is mornings. They say that in the morning, the claim is in the morning, you wake up and you are ready to go. Your brain has been, churning through loads of stuff, maybe giving you lots of ideas. You're fresh, you're dynamic. Plus, if you do something that you feel really good about first thing in the morning, like even quite early, like 7 o'clock, say, by 9 o'clock, you've not just got up, but you've done something creative, and other people haven't done anything. Sometimes they haven't even got up, and you've not only got up, you've done something creative. So that's a pretty good argument for getting up and doing something creative immediately. And you've got it out of the way. So you've done something creative. If you like, you can do nothing else on your passion project for the rest of the day and still feel pretty happy with yourself. And there's a follow-on thing from that. If you've already done something on it early in the day, that sets your mind going. You might not have finished and you might do a second stint later or have some new ideas turning around and find in the afternoon or the evening, I want to do some more. So you've done a double thing because you started earlier. So for me, I'll tell you what I have. I have a specific time slot. It's basically when I wake up, I do my Paris photograph and I do my writing. So when you look at all of these, practically every single one of these and the writing that goes with it was done first thing in the morning. So that's what I do. That is my morning routine. I've had all sorts of morning routines. I've even invented them myself. For example, I've got a thing called the 7-minute miracle. Translated into French, anything, and basically it was on a mind map, and it was 7 things in 7 minutes, 7 cool things in 7 minutes. Like there was a minute of quiet meditation, there was a minute of jumping up and down, a minute of writing what you're happy about or grateful about, a minute of over reviewing your goals for the day or for the week or something. So there were 7 cool things that you can do in 7 minutes. It was brilliant. But to be honest, these things, they come, they go. It's a bit like with being ready to take the photographs. Know that you want to produce, know that you want to be a creative person, and then see when it happens. And that's the right time. The right time is the time you do it. Sounds obvious, but the right time is the time you do it. To be honest, I think it's good if you do have a kind of a routine, because otherwise it gets pretty random. But every and any routine I've ever tried to do has never worked for me. You know, goal setting, it's never worked. Nothing works. The thing that works for me is the thing that I finish. Bear with me. It sounds like I'm saying rubbish, like I'm saying nothing. The one that works for you, is the one that you do. As blindingly, idiotically obvious as that sounds, it's not so stupid, because all the ones that don't work for you, all the ones you don't do, didn't work for you. So it's not really about, which is the best one. It's finding one that you do. It's not finding the best one, which you will try for a couple of days and leave it. It's finding the one that you do every day, for example. I advise people, creative people, to create every day, no exceptions. And there's a reason for that. The reason I've found is that it works for me. That's one good reason. It works for me. The main reason, I think, is because there's no day off. And you might think, what? That sounds like hard work. But no, don't forget, it's your passion. Why would you want a day off from your passion? Why would you want a day where you don't fill your life with a new creative thing? Even if it's a simple little thing. Why would you want that? That would be a bad day, wouldn't it? If your passion is creating, or your passion is drawing, painting, maybe you have several passions. It doesn't have to be the same one. But it's like they say, the thing about smiling, a day without laughter is a sad day, or is a lost day. Well, adopt that for your passion. A day when I haven't painted is a lost day. You don't want to sit there having lost days. You want to sit there having days where you paint every day. Don't get me wrong. So I've decided that this has worked for me. It won't work for everyone, because everyone isn't me. But I've realised that with my Paris project, the Paris photographs and the writing, I did that as I was preparing to do another creative project. Funnily enough, this is the one I stuck with, and the other one didn't even get started. I found a thing that I haven't stopped doing yet. So I reckon, I have no idea what that would be for anybody. There's a good chance it's linked to something they say they're passionate about, and then you have to find how they can do that. What is the way, how long, in what form, where, when is that sweet spot where they can do a little bit of it every day? And it might sound restrictive to do the same thing every day, but it's not. You give yourself a framework, limitations if you like, and you've got to be creative within those. And you actually end up being more creative than if you didn't have any limits. If you could do anything, just create something every day, okay? You wouldn't have any sense of achievement, you wouldn't have any clear path, you wouldn't know what you were doing, it wouldn't seem to matter if you didn't do it one day. If you've given yourself a project, a clear project, I'm anti restrictions in a way, but I've just found that, I gave myself a project that was so clear, it seemed so coherent, and for me, so cool, I don't want to stop it. I don't want there to be a gap in my Paris photo chronicles. That would be really disappointing. And the longer it goes on, the less I want that gap to ever appear. Can you imagine? So it's kind of that, really. I can't tell you what the best way is, but I can tell you that if you can find the way that you don't want to miss a day, it would become as weird for you to miss a day as if you didn't eat, or you didn't brush your teeth, or you didn't sleep. That weird. You've got to find the thing that would be that irritating to miss a day for. You don't have to do it every day, of course you don't, that's just me. And it's not on everything. There's a ton of things I don't do every day, and it bugs me. But this is an example of something I've found, and I do it first thing in the morning, and I'm happy to have done it. Okay, so we've seen those. So when do you feel creative? Yeah, that's a good question, Dorothy. It's more relevant is when do I not feel creative? And I don't know. I always feel creative. But I don't have a time when I don't feel creative. I am creative. I am creativity. I am creativity, just like you are. We are creativity. This is as close to any sort of religion as I probably will ever get. I think that I am creativity itself. And that suits me fine. So the question isn't the right question for me because I don't see things that way. I don't believe that. I know what you mean. Sometimes you feel like, I don't know, painting, and sometimes you don't feel like painting. I get that. But I don't know. Any time and every time and all the time, and sometimes ideas come to me and sometimes they don't. But there's no time when I think. You see, I wouldn't even say that I'm a creative person and that someone else isn't. These are all labels. We're all just going through life, doing our thing, and we're being creative all the time. You know, we're creating our lives minute by minute. So yeah, putting labels on things sometimes isn't helpful. So we're all creative, and sometimes lots of ideas come, sometimes it's the right moment, sometimes we're doing other things which seem less creative. And, you know, because creative, it doesn't mean anything until you've given it something solid. Creative doing what? Creative making a nice meal? Creative tidying your garden? Creative imagining a nice Christmas for your family? Creative on its own doesn't mean anything. Creative is doing something. So as soon as you're doing something, you don't need to say, I was creative today. You can be much more concrete. You can say, I took a really nice photograph, a photograph I'm really happy with today. I tidied the garden today. I presented an idea for an activity for children to my boss. You know, whatever it is, that's probably much more interesting than to say I did something creative today. That doesn't really mean anything. Thomas, yeah, sorry, I like your sweater. Just to repeat that is a really nice sort of comment that I like. What have we got here? So we've got 𝗏𝗫𝗏. Yep. I didn't have my camera either when the rust pictures presented themselves. Karen, you see, got to have it with you all the time. Sleep with it. Go to the bathroom with it. You never know when those rust pictures are going to come up. I use my hubby's phone. Oh, you see, you got it. Good. Question, do you feel creative when you wear the same clothes? We have to have a little chat, 𝗏𝗫𝗏, you know. I think there's something we need to sort of get clear. Your voice today sounds like that of a radio host. Is this a good thing? I don't know. I listen to Radio 6 on the BBC. The BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, if you please. I'm sure the Queen listens to it. And I listen to a thing called 6 Music, and it's cool. If you want to listen to it, because it's 6 Music, there's a ton of stations on the BBC, radio stations. There's so many. You go to radio, BBC Radio, and you've got all sorts of stations with all sorts of music. 6 Music is as close as you can get to good music, which isn't crap like poppy stuff or boring stuff. I almost mentioned a type of music that I find boring. You know, it's just, and there's shows on there that I don't like, but it's good, it's fine. And the thing is, the DJs there, the people who play the music, love music, and there's no adverts. Why was I saying that? Yeah, so there's a guy on that with a squeaky voice. He says, he's called Tom Ravenscroft. He said, "Hello, this is Tom Ravenscroft. Welcome back to the show. We've got some great music for you today." He hasn't got a voice for radio. There's another guy, Iggy Pop. You know Iggy Pop? I don't know if they play with his voice or something, but he's got a voice like this.
This is Iggy Pop, and we've got some great music for you today.
And I'm thinking, come on, you've played with his voice, it's not really that deep. So I don't know if it's good to have a voice like mine or not. When I work in flow, if I decide anything, routine, I break it. When I work in flow, if I decide anything routine, I break it. Do you mean that you try to break routines to get new ideas? Maybe that's what you mean. I'm not totally sure what you mean. Routines, yeah. Because creativity is creating new things. In other words, things that haven't been done before. And to do that, it's often good to do other things, put yourself in situations you haven't been in before, so that you can get new ideas that you haven't had before. Karen says, well, you know what my weekly project is. Yeah, great. And you've been sticking to it for a year. It doesn't have to be daily. That's just what seemed to work for me, because I don't have an excuse. But if your thing is weekly, then you don't have a week. You don't want a week to go by when you're not creative. So I guess that works for you. Haha, metal. Metal, yeah. The voice of Iggy Pop is pretty nuts these days. Right, I don't think I've missed any questions. So let me, shall I read you something mindful? I'm going to open this at random. That's the idea with these books like this. Begin it now. Mindfulness every day. Let me read you something from here and see what it says. I'll give you a pretty thing to look at. So mindfulness for every day. Random, okay? See what it says. Okay, here it is. I took a deep breath. Let's get rid of metal. So what is mindfulness? Do you know what mindfulness is? I took a deep breath and listened to the... Into focus, is it possible? Doesn't want to go. I took a deep breath and listened to the old brag of my heart. The old brag of my heart. I am. 𝗏𝗏 Plath, who's a poet who was rather perturbed, I think. I took a deep breath and listened to the old brag of my heart. I am. Maybe it's the beat. Boom, 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 boom. I am. That's interesting, isn't it? What could you get from that? Could you get from that there's nothing else to do except be you? See, mindfulness is about not needing anything more than the present moment, I think. And we seem to spend an enormous amount of our time not focusing on now and not being completely okay with how we are, our current situation, what we're doing, who we're with, where we've come. And that's kind of against mindfulness. And mindfulness is about forgetting the ideas of the future and the past and just appreciating the present moment, really. So that's nice, isn't it? I took a deep breath and listened to the old brag of my heart. I am. Boom, 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 boom. That's all we've got. I am. Whoever I is and whatever am is, that seems to be it. You could say, I will be, but you're wasting your present I ams in future will be's or in present will be's, which is probably not very productive. I was. No, I am sounds more like the beat of the heart, doesn't it? Because if you're in I was, you're wasting your present moments on something that doesn't exist anymore. And if you're in I will be's, it's pipe dreams. It's I could be anything. I could be. I could be. What a waste of time. So yeah, I like that. Concentrate on I am. And then you could go a little bit further. I am what? I'm painting. I'm running. I'm sleeping. And being fine with that. So I did call this show the mindful... What did I call it again? Let me see. Mindful Creativity Special. So how does mindfulness, whatever you think... What do you think mindfulness is? Do you have a definition, people? Could you please give me your definition of mindfulness in the chat? Because I don't really know what it is. I make up what I think it might be. So what is your definition of mindfulness? What is it for you? And do you think that you need to be mindful to be creative? Do those two go together very well? So, a lot of people talk about meditation is very big at the moment. Lots of people talk about meditation and all that sort of thing. But it's never worked for me. And I've found that my meditation is doing something actually, but it's being aware of doing something. And that for me is meditation. It could even be something quite mechanical. For example, every single photograph that I put text on, there's an operation that I have to do on the text to make the lines fit. Don't even bother thinking or wondering why. I have to do this boring operation with every line. It's about pixels. It's playing with pixels on every single line. It's a pain in the backside. And I do this every day. So I think to myself, this is a pointless task. This is going to be my meditation. And it's a bit like painting. If you're just painting, like in art therapy, there's this exercise that I did once. You have a piece of paper and you start with blue on one side and yellow on the other. And the idea is, you don't have guidelines, but the idea is you've got two colours, blue and yellow. And the idea is you have a perfect graduation from blue on one side to yellow on the other side through green, but you can't see any line. It's a perfect change. There's no line where it's clearly, oh, that you've gone, and it's a nightmare. It's awful to do. It's very hard. And trying to do that, you're doing the same little strokes. You have to do it in tiny, tiny, tiny little strokes with hardly any paint at all. Otherwise you mess it up and it isn't a very soft graduation. There's probably another word than graduation, but anyway. And when you're doing that, and it's also pointless, absolutely pointless in a way. But what happens is you get into this kind of flow. You forget that it's pointless and you end up just getting on with it because for some reason you've decided to do it. And then once you're doing it, your mind forgets that it's a bit stupid and gets on with it. That's one of the wonders of the mind. When you can get past the blockage of starting and you just start, the mind forgets it wasn't particularly keen on changing what it was doing to this new thing. And it says, okay, well, we're doing this now. Well, let's work on this. And that's when time disappears. It stops questioning why you're doing it and actually gets on with doing it. And that for me is meditation. Doing these stupid little playing with the pixels to make the text fit on the line perfectly, which you can't even see. I could easily not do it and it wouldn't worry you at all. It's a tiny, tiny personal thing. And the way I look at it is that's my meditation. It's part of the creative process. It's a tiny part. Many people wouldn't have a clue that it even exists as part of the process. I do. I know. And it's the same for painting. If you paint reasonably, quite intricate paintings, there's tiny details no one will maybe ever spot, but you know that they're necessary to have made the whole. So that's kind of my meditation. Just sitting on my backside in an uncomfortable position, trying to twist my legs somewhere they weren't made to go, doesn't do it for me. Walking in the woods does it for me. Talking to someone does it for me. If you're in the moment, that does it for me. Dorothy says, okay, yeah, we looked at that. I know what your weekly project is, metal. I still wait for inspiration to paint. Today I had an idea to paint on the same tempo as a pigeon talking. That might be all you need. There are no rules. I had an idea to paint. I think it's, spell check probably has changed it. I had an idea to paint to the same tempo as a pigeon talking. I'm wondering what that tempo is. Is it bub 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 bub? Is it so maybe you are And it doesn't matter what it is. If it makes you smile, then that might make you do it. So it doesn't matter what it is. It's the thing that makes you do it, makes you want to do it, that is the right thing. Which is very close to something I was saying earlier. It doesn't matter when you create, it's do you create. There is no importance whatsoever to when you do it, how you do it, what it is that makes you do it. The big question is, do you do it or not? And that is closely linked to my approach to calling myself something. A lot of people, practically everybody who paints, will call themselves an artist. They'll say, I'm an artist. And that doesn't work for me. I prefer to say, I paint pictures sometimes, or I play with paint sometimes. It's not saying I am an artist or a painter, because as soon as you give yourself a label, which other people have got a definition for, they fit you into their definition of what that is. And it won't be right, because you're not. If you say I'm an artist, they'll know what they think an artist is, and they'll think that you're like that. But you're not. You're like you. You'll do things differently your way. So I don't like being defined by other people's definitions, which aren't. So I say what I do. And that seems to be more true. So I don't say I'm an artist, but if I've painted today, I say, well, I painted a funny picture all in white today. I'm not even saying I'm an artist. I'm just saying that I painted a funny picture in white. And the next day I might not paint anything, but I might take a photograph of a leaf. And then the next day I might write an article about Trump or something. These are these ongoing things. They're true at the time, but they're not saying that that's all I am. And if you say I'm an artist, people will maybe never even ask if you're a father or a skateboarder or a musician. You know, labels exclude. They define you and they exclude other things in other people's minds. So I'm not a fan of labels. So there you go. The tempo. I'd love to see the painting on the 𝗏𝗏𝗃. Aren't there some strange pieces of music? Ode to a something weird. To be present in the now, Dorothy. Yeah, present in the now. I think that's. It's a bit weird, isn't it, to be present in the now? We're always in the now. But I think the point is, a lot of people don't do much in the now because they're spending the now. It's not that you have to be productive and producing, creating things every second. That would be silly too. But a lot of people seem to spend the now on things which don't make them very happy, like worrying about the future and regretting the past. It's a shame to spend a lot of your now on that. It's still the now. If you're thinking about the past, you're not in the past. You can only be in the now. But spending the now thinking about the past instead of creating something now, it's not a good choice. You can do it a little bit. If you're thinking about a pleasant memory and sharing a pleasant memory with someone else in the now, sure, why not? But not all the time. Even nice things, not all the time. Yeah. Took me a year to understand mindfulness. Oh, I hope you have a nice definition for me. It took me a year to understand mindfulness. I would say it is being present in the present. Even when you wash your hands, feel the hands and the soap. I wonder why though. Why? Why bother doing that? Why bother feeling the soap on your hands and the way they slip together? Why? Why not be thinking about, worrying about the interview tomorrow as you're washing your hands? Maybe it's because you can't do anything about the interview tomorrow or the difficult class that you've got. So why spend your present moments on that? But if you're not going to spend your present moments worrying about the future or regretting the past, what are you going to spend them on? So I guess it's a better default thing to spend your present moments on than negative stuff. So if you're washing your hands, focus on washing your hands, and that will block out the less nice stuff that you can't do anything about. You're washing your hands, wash them with the enjoyment that you have hands to wash and that you have soap to wash them with. And that will give you a nice feeling of being, you're lucky, you know, we're lucky, we have soap, we have hands. Not everybody has hands. So yeah, it's about, you know, it comes down to something I did this hugely nasty, where I used bad words and everything. Yeah, this one here. I went on about Thanksgiving. I think I called it bullshit Black Friday. Thanksgiving rammed down our throats. Being told to be grateful all the time. You know, be grateful. What are you grateful for? Tell me what you're grateful for. Haven't you been grateful? And although I think it's nice to be grateful, to be honest, I think sometimes people, it's great to be grateful, but not all the time. Wouldn't it be better at some point to actually stop just being grateful and get on with creating something that's going to make someone else happy? You know, it kind of gets to that point where I'm thinking, please stop being grateful and telling me to be grateful and create something beautiful that you can share with me. I don't want to hear about being grateful anymore, to be honest. I've had enough. I've had enough. I am grateful. I'm grateful every day. I'm grateful every minute for the fact that I'm here. So can we move on now, please? Can we like create a new painting or something and then show it to others and make them smile or make them curious? So grateful. I've been through my grateful phase. It's fine. Let's move on and start using that gratefulness productively to make other people happy. It's this kind of loving yourself thing. I went through this phase. I did the courses, where there were activities on loving yourself, blah, blah, blah. Look in the mirror. I appreciate you, and etc. Great. If you need that, great. And it is great. It really is great. And it's very important for a lot of people to feel that. But you don't have to do it forever, because I think the point is it gets you through a difficult time. But it would be like someone on some sort of enlightenment path. They go into the mountains, into a cave, and sit cross-legged for 7 years trying to get enlightened. And once they are, they carry on sitting in their cave until they die. Wouldn't it be nicer if they actually came back down from the mountain, out of the cave, and shared some of their better way of looking at life with others? So that's all I mean. I mean, I have fun writing stuff, just for fun, and using bad words every 100 days or so. I'll drop an F-bomb or something. It's not really my style, but sometimes it is, yeah. But I think there's a time for that, and then there's a time to move on. There's a time to get out there and produce stuff that's going to change the world. And sitting there being grateful, it might be the prelude, the precursor to creating great stuff. And if that's true, wonderful. That's all I'll say. I think I've said my point on that. Focus. Yeah, that's a great one, isn't it? There was I taught English in France for a long time, and some of the funniest moments I've had in that career were when I had quite serious French business people, like nicely, beautifully dressed, businesswoman or a businessman, and they were giving a presentation as part of the English lesson, and there would come a point where they asked their audience to pay close attention to what is on the screen, the diagram on the screen, and they would say something like, "Now I want you to focus," because they don't say it very well. They say, "Focus on the table. Focus on the table." Focus on the table. Anyway, we never did do that to them on the table. But anyway, focus. Yeah, focus on one thing. I've got lots of books about the one thing, and I think there's something about it. It's not easy for me, but when you focus on one thing, like for an hour, look, I've got this thing here. You see this? And you do this. You go like this, and it goes down. Beep, 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 beep. And this can be good actually because it's silent. You can put it on silent, and it just goes like this. It goes like this. Yeah. Hang on. And that can help with feeling that you're doing something. You're doing it in a focused way, but it's not going to go on forever. And you've got a bit of pressure because you try and finish what you're doing and before the red thing disappears. That's kind of cool. I did breathe with the pigeons, not paint. Breathe. Breathe with the pigeons. Okay. Breathe. I'm a big fan of pigeons. They play important roles in a lot of my Paris photographs. Actually, I'll put a nicer photograph up for you to look at as I'm chugging through your comments. How about this one? The struggle to not spend the now on either the past or future is ongoing. Well, that reminds me of Buddhism, where they say that, you know, we're born to struggle, we're born to suffer. And maybe if you're lucky, in a few sort of 1,000 lifetimes time, you'll be born into some sort of body that doesn't suffer anymore, and you'll have made it. Hallelujah. Welcome to Nirvana, or whatever it is. I don't know, I'm probably mixing everything up. But that doesn't do it for me either, that idea. I don't want to suffer. I want to feel fine now in this life. So, you know, I love all sorts of ways of looking at the world, but I don't adhere to any, because I'm not any of them and I'm not anybody else. I'm just me, whatever I am. So I'm not going to adopt anything, even the best things that I've ever found. I'm not going to call myself a such and such type of person. The best teaching methods I've ever come across, I'm not going to label myself as that sort of teacher. So the struggle to not spend the now on either past or future is ongoing. I don't want to feel that I'm struggling. I'm not saying that you do, 𝗏𝗏, but don't think that you're struggling. Don't struggle. Just be. I think that's the main thing. Don't struggle, because if you find your mind wandering, let it wander. That's what you're doing now. My mind is wandering. But it's not, oh shit, my mind's wandering. It's, oh, my mind's wandering. I wonder where it's going to take me. Or it goes back to the past and you realize that you're thinking about that old thing again, thinking about that person maybe that you miss, or that you regret having lost as a friend, for example. These are obviously personal examples. So what do? Do you think, shit, stop it? I don't think that's the right thing. If we're going to decide that our present moments are going to be good, well, I'm afraid it's got to be every single one. There can't be exceptions. So if you decide that from now on I'm going to make sure that I'm okay with whatever I'm doing, that's, to me, seems like a pretty cool thing. Wouldn't it be good if you could be okay with everything you're doing at any time? I mean, reasonably okay. Not enjoying everything. You don't have to enjoy everything. But you say, well, here's another aspect of my life, and it's a pretty shitty one. But I'm still happy to be alive. That's what I'm aiming at. That's what I'm looking for. So I don't like words like struggle. I could put struggle on my list of other words like success and failure and perfect and imperfect. I'm not a fan of struggle. I think I don't need to say any more about that, you know. And I'm not jumping on you, you know. Oh, you shouldn't use the word struggle. No, of course not. I'm just trying to give you my point of view, which might be different to yours. And that's good, isn't it? Hearing different people's points of view. You don't have to do anything about them, but sometimes they can be interesting, which is why I do listen to lots and lots of people's points of view, including Despina's, Thomas's, my son's, Buddha's, this guy I listen to who does things a bit like this, but more on a spiritual thing on Sundays as well, YouTube stuff. You know, I listen, I absorb, I read, and then I do whatever feels right to me, and I recommend you do the same. Thomas says, yesterday, I'm going to change the picture. So this picture is, I'll come back to you, Thomas. This picture is trying to have something nicer to look at than just me. This picture is looking through a passage from the Palais Royal, which was the Cardinal's fancy home, through to the Louvre, which was the King's fancy home. And they had this kind of struggle, you know, the church and the royalty, each wanting to have the fanciest palace. It was a very interesting, one of my passions is French history and French curiosities. And I mean, I saw an amazing documentary a couple of days ago. Someone told me about it, and it was called My Octopus Teacher. It's on Netflix. My Octopus Teacher. It's wonderful. There's a guy. You know me. I've gone off on a tangent, but I'll come back if I remember. It's an amazing documentary about a guy who spends a year basically falling in love with an octopus, living with the octopus to an extent, not with tubes and stuff on his back. He dived without air, snorkel, and he was able to hold his breath for a long time, including filming important events in her life. And it became important events in his life. It was amazing. I could have chosen something like that in my life. I could have been the guy who made that documentary, spending a year of my life getting to know the incredible intelligence and just wonder, and even imagining emotions between the man and the octopus. I could have done something like that. But you can't do everything. So thankfully there's this guy who made this beautiful, well, maybe not even him. I mean, the photography is a lot of him. So there must have been someone else, you know, the team that made it. There are people who decided to devote a large part of their life to producing that beautiful thing. So to have and it had an impact on me and many other people. So to have an impact, if you want to have an impact, you've got more of a chance of having an impact if you focus, Dorothy, if you focus on one thing a lot for quite a long time. And it might sound like it's restricting, and yet you will be able to touch far more people than if you do a bit of this and a bit of that. Yeah. So I've decided one of my focuses is going to be Paris, you know, the history of Paris. So it's random. It could be the history of anywhere. It could not be it could be something else, not history. History of Paris, why not? It could be anything, couldn't it? So if I can give you little anecdotes which are kind of amusing, a lot of people like Paris. If I can have some interesting stories about Paris, that will bring some pleasure to some people, which is more than if I didn't have any, you know. So this story about the king and the cardinal, the head of the royal family, the country, and the head of the church, which was just as powerful in a way, and all these interplays of power, and this sort of stupid, like childish, boyish rivalry between them. I want to have the biggest palace, you know. Ooh, wonder what that might be about. It's just great, isn't it? So that's the photograph of that, looking through to the Louvre pyramid, which is another hugely interesting story in its own right. Let me show you another photograph before I go back to... This is a nice one. So Thomas said, yesterday I shot a pic I probably wouldn't have shot and which for 100% wouldn't be so touching to me, making so much feelings to me. I think I might condense this. Yesterday I shot a pic which was very touching because of my memories. So I think it means you took a photograph and it touched you very deeply because of your memories. Are you saying all the pics we take are a result of our entire life of our being? So, and I'm just to post this pic again in the Today's the Day site. I'll refresh this and see if I can find it. I mean, we're living a human experience, aren't we? This is what we've got. We've got human experience, we've got memories, we've got hopes for the future, we've got the present. That seems to be quite a big one. So, you know, I wouldn't get rid of my memories for anything. That whatever I've lived up until now seems to be what I have with me to create things. That seems to be what I have. But so, you know, memories are part of what we are. But I don't think they exist anywhere than in the present, though. Is it this one, Thomas? Today's the day. Let me make this bigger. Oh, let me make this bigger as well. Are you saying all the pics we take are a result of our entire life of our being? I do like to say that every moment that we have ever been aware of have led up to this present moment. And if it's a photograph that you click, well, everything did seem to lead up to that moment, didn't it? Everything you did, every place you went, every person you met. If practically any of those hadn't happened, you wouldn't probably be in the same place to take the same photograph. So it's an interesting way of looking at things. So this is a picture of an angel on a grave, taken from low. This looks like the edge of the grave plot, so you're underneath that, giving it a really interesting angle. And there's some lovely flowers, berries, framing the picture. And you say, today's the day I post this here. I've already posted for my masterclass friends. I really like this one, this little shot, this. I saw this little statue in a very little place, little cemetery, but I found it by surprise. By doing a self-called challenge, doing shots after my smartphone timer rang, and doing at least 3 shots in 1 minute. So the timer rings, the alarm tone peeps, and I started to snap, to shoot pictures. Yeah, so the challenge here is, it's a fun challenge. You try to take 3 very different pictures in 1 minute. I mean, you can take 3 pictures of the same thing if you like, but 3 pictures that are either very different or that show 3 different aspects of the same thing. There's all sorts of ways of doing it. I already had 3 shots, then I turned around and saw this little angel with his folded hands. And then I saw the white berries that remind me of my childhood. I hope you didn't eat them. I think they're poisonous, aren't they? A very kind childhood memory. Only for this pic is so amazing, so touching for me. So I ask you all, have you also got memories about these little white berries? Have a nice first Advent, Thomas. Thanks for contributing that, Thomas. I've got memories of berries, yeah, especially being told not to eat the white ones. Something that photography brings up is memories. We call on our memories without even realizing. In the same way that whatever we've done in our past has led us to taking a certain photograph, everything has led up to that. It's also, there must be some reason why you want to take that photograph. Why are you attracted to that? And it's not just because you're doing an exercise on, I don't know, composition or something. Something in you says that photograph is more interesting than that one. And that's personal. And there's no logic. It's just you. Something in you, deeply inside you, being attracted to that more than that, or liking that one more than that one. There's no logic, there's no rules, there's no truth, there's no photo jury that can tell you that that photograph is a better one than that if you don't think it is. That is meaningless. So if you love this photograph, then it is a lovable photograph for you. And end, full stop, boom. And I, personally, which has no importance whatsoever to what you think of this photograph, I personally really like it as well. But if I said I don't like it, you should treat that with the same importance as if I say I do like it. None, really. No importance, fundamentally. But if you like the fact that I say I like it, great, that's nice. But it's not important. Mindfulness is a state of consciousness. Yeah, is mindfulness a different state of consciousness? Do we go into a different state? Is mindfulness a sort of dreaming, a sort of peacefulness? Does time and worries sort of fade away in mindfulness? Yeah. It's a sort of meditation, I guess, isn't it? If you're aware of what you're literally doing now, I think the idea is that the past and the future, thoughts of the past and the future do fade away. And we can actually, normally thoughts of the past and the future are sort of fretting, worrying thoughts, and it's not necessarily a good thing to spend your life doing that. I know a nice joke on the meaning of life. Oh, I wonder what that is. The way you put it, our present moments are made of glimpses of our past and shades of our future. I think theoretically they shouldn't be at all. Because if you look at any life form, apart from us, apart from maybe animals like chimps, where they might seem to be a little bit thoughtful, or dogs, dogs gazing into the fire, you might think that they're thinking about yesterday or hoping that you will take them for a walk soon. But we can't ever say for sure, really. But we seem to be the ones that spend quite a lot of time on our past and future. But take anything else, does it? Does a snail sort of sit there drowning its sorrows because it missed that really, it didn't ask that really cute other snail to get all slimy together? I don't think so. Like this octopus guy. Towards the end of the film, the guy finally saw another octopus big octopus near her. She was a her. And he'd got very close to her, very emotional. He was going down to the water every day, into the water every day to see her and stuff like that. And he knew that when the male came, it was mating time. And mating time means that she's going to die soon, because the octopus sacrifices herself for her eggs, in effect. She stops eating, she doesn't go out of her, what did he call it? Den. She doesn't go out of her den, so she doesn't eat. She protects the eggs. I think they might even somehow nourish themselves from her. So, like, even half a million eggs, or a billion, or 500,000 eggs, or something like that. Most of them don't survive, a handful do. And that's one of their tactics. But, so the mating is the beginning of her end, her demise. So I can't even remember why I was saying that. But, she's not thinking. I don't think she's thinking about worrying about the past, regretting anything, or worrying about, making plans for the future. Whatever happens naturally. And I think it's deeper than anything she might think consciously, even though it seems that she's incredibly clever, works out strategies and everything. Even at one point using the guy that she'd got confident with to almost trap her prey against. So her on one side, the guy that she'd got used to on the other of the prey, so she knew the prey wouldn't go towards the guy, and she was able to trap it. It was amazing. But, to associate human traits really cool traits like worrying about the past or regretting the past and worrying about the future, to assign those anthropomorphically to animals, I think it's kind of wishful thinking on our part. So we're the only ones that are really screwed up as far as that's concerned, in my opinion. But you know what? That's what we've got, so let's enjoy it. Isn't it great to have memories? Isn't it great to plan for the future? To feel excited now about this great plan that we've got for next week. Isn't that great? That's not bad. Isn't it great to have lived? Isn't it great to have lived with someone who isn't with us anymore? But boy, if instead of those memories there was a hole, there was nothing, our lives would be flat, not richly contoured. Dorothy says, I have to leave soon. So do I. So thanks for being with us, Dorothy. Lovely to see you. Yes, but I will be bored. I will be bored. Okay, sorry about that. To do one thing is boring for me. Yeah, well, do several things. The Octopus Teacher, I will watch next time. I started Netflix. I've just Googled it. Thank you for the advice, Sab. Yeah, beautiful film. Lots and lots of life enriching insights there. I love that picture of Thomas. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Okay, so what else have we got? I don't go through your pictures on this show unless you give them to me. You know, that's for other shows. So this has been my creative stuff this week. A couple of new ones. These are my latest. So there's this little girl. This is in the palace opposite the Louvre with the pyramid. This is, I mean, the Cardinal Richelieu. He didn't have these black and white columns when he was there, of course. He just had stuff like prostitutes and apothecate, people selling strange potions, things like that, and plotting all sorts of, I don't know, downfalls probably, and power grappling. But in recent years, they installed this thing, and it's a dream for photographers, to be honest. My street photographs are me wandering around. They're not pre-planned, and the subjects don't know that I'm taking a picture of them. If there's a subject in the shot, I don't want them to know that I'm taking them. So every photograph you can see of mine, including any with people in, they don't know. They don't know that I'm there. I'm just going to see if I can give you some other examples. Okay, this isn't quite the same. That's me and my son playing around. But any with people in, of course, of all these, those people, they don't know that I'm there. If I go back to the chapter before, it's a personal thing. Some street photographers, they want pictures of people looking at them. People I've found in the street with interesting faces. Click. Either can I take your photograph? They take it, the person is, or they don't ask the permission. In their face, click, off they go, which I find a bit rude. I don't like that. But, again, there's no one in these photographs. What's going on? No one in them. I don't believe it. Sometimes, almost all my photographs have got people in, and this is like there's a dearth of people. Even there's hardly anyone. There's a guy in a... Yeah. Anyway, these people's legs, you see, the person going under the arch, they don't know that I'm there. I'm just going to have one more attempt to get people in my shots. There's hardly any. See, the bird didn't know I was taking its picture. The people on this station didn't know, and there you go. So that's my style. Oh, I have to put a V on there. It's got taken away. Yeah. So one more attempt to get people in my shots. Okay, here's an example. You see, these people were taking pictures of their wedding down on the banks of the Seine, and my objective is that they don't know I'm taking their picture. And likewise, this woman coming towards me, I don't want her to know. So when you look at this, I didn't want anybody to know that I was taking this picture. And it captures childish innocence. And it's a beautiful thing. 𝗪𝗟𝗘𝗓 says, you prefer to capture the pictures in live mode and then choose the moment? No, not at all, no. One picture. Yeah, there's a live mode, people, on the iPhone where you click and it takes a small video around the time you click, a little bit before, a little bit afterwards. So you've got this version of the photograph where they're moving a little bit. And you could theoretically choose from any of that tiny, I think it's maybe 2 seconds or 1 second video, you could choose the best point from that. I don't do that. That for me isn't photography, it's moving to video. That's not my thing. So my thing is photography. You click, you get the shot. You can click a lot of times if you like, but it's still shots. That's my style. Not video. Video for me is too easy. Not precise enough. I want the moment to have been chosen, even if it's kind of random, if I'm lucky, but I still want it to be a moment when I clicked, the decisive moment when I pressed the button or the shutter button or whatever. I want it to be my moment chosen, and then whatever happens. Not just, let's do a video and have a look through the video. So that's not my style. It's lockdown time. Lockdown time. I guess your photos show how few people are on the streets. Maybe. Yeah, could be. Gotta go. Good night, dear Sab. Love your sweater. And you, of course. Thank you. I'm just a bit nervous about whether I'm going to wear it tomorrow or the next day or the next day. Yeah, well, I'm getting to the end as well. I think that's been a lovely time together. Really liked it. I'll finish on this, shall I? And it's a leaf. What else can I say? You know, it's one of my photographs. It's a leaf. And, well, I could tell you what I wrote. And I wrote this quickly this morning. Actually, I'll read you the thing that I wrote for this girl as well. Finish with a couple of poems. I'm very happy. 2 poems fell out of me in the last couple of days. It's always a pleasure when that happens. Little Red Rascal, I called this one. Through black on white, like stars at night, the 𝗪𝗙𝗔 crusader flashes in red, a comet dread, unstoppable invader. Her mission bold, as tales are told, was thwart the mean tomb raider. But word got out, a sign, a shout, an erstwhile friend betrayed her. Now with the winds she weaves and grins, back to the folks who played her. No dragon's sly, nor evil eye, can catch our cute first grader. And this will be the last thing. The poem that fell out with this leaf. And I called it Ingrained. Nature knows, her wisdom lies heart deep, relies on heavy boughs. Weathered veins reach out to us. A leafy palm, an olive branch, a helping hand, rich with age, a chance to heal, offered in vain. Man doesn't. Tricky. When I look at a poem, and I haven't looked at it for a while, it's very tricky to remember the rhythm that I had. Normally, there's a rhythm, even when it's not obvious, but you sometimes have to say certain words in certain ways. I'm trying to try that again. Ingrained. Nature knows, her wisdom lies heart deep, relies on heavy boughs. Weathered veins reach out to us. A leafy palm, an olive branch, a helping hand, rich with age, a chance to heal, offered in vain. Man doesn't. Man doesn't what? That's for you to decide. Okay, people, thank you so much for watching. It's been a real pleasure once again. That's what happened. I said at the beginning I had no idea what would happen. Well, that happened. And that is absolutely perfect as far as I'm concerned. Thanks for being part of my creative universe, and Thanks for letting me be part of yours. And I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye for now. I will actually say one more thing because I've got a message. Thomas says that leaf looks a little bit like a small octopus. Oh, how wonderful. You know, it absolutely does. What a wonderful observation to link things together. That's great. And when you watch the film, if you are able to watch Netflix, it's not even me, I've got access through a friend, that you'll see, yeah, it really does. That's a wonderful observation, Thomas. I hadn't seen it at all. Maybe you saw it because you were outside hearing me talk about different things. And I was too much in the detail to see the big picture. So that's really valuable. And 𝗔𝗧𝗍 says, I love that photo because of the strong colour and because it looks like a starfish or a hand with long fingers. You know, in my poem, I saw it as nature's hand with the veins on the hand reaching out to man, giving us a sign. Here I am. Hold my hand. Be one with me. We're not apart. But man doesn't, right? Okay. Merci et bonne nuit. Merci à toi aussi, 𝗪𝗓𝗑. Merci vraiment. How do you say merci in German? Entschuldigung, is that a thing? I don't know. Anyway, bye for now, everyone. Talk again very soon.